Hello everyone, welcome to Learning Chinese with Teacher Mint. Today you will be learning the must-know Chinese phrases for daily life conversations. I'll be using the same 22-word phrases that start with how from the previous video. I'll be adding pu to each of the two-word phrases so that you can use them easily in your daily life conversations when you want to express phrases that are negative. 不 means do not or not. Instead of 好看, so pretty, so nice to look, so nice to watch, so nice to read, when you add 不, it becomes 不好看, which means not pretty, not nice to look, not nice to watch, not nice to read. Instead of 好酷, so cool, when you add 不, it becomes 不酷, which means not cool. Instead of 好听, so nice to hear, when you add 不, it becomes 不好听, which means not nice to hear. Instead of 好香, smells good, fragrant, when you add 不, it becomes 不香, which means does not smell good or not fragrant. Instead of 好臭, so smelly, when you add 不, it becomes 不臭, which means not smelly. Instead of 好吃, so tasty, when you add 不, it becomes 不好吃, which means not tasty. Instead of 好喝, so tasty, when you add 不, it becomes 不好喝, which means not tasty. Instead of 好酸, so sour, when you add 不, it becomes 不酸, which means not sour. Instead of 好甜, so sweet, when you add 不, it becomes 不甜, which means not sweet. Instead of 好苦, so bitter or so tough, when you add 不, it becomes 不苦, which means not bitter or not tough. Instead of 好辣, so spicy, when you add 不, it becomes 不辣, which means not spicy. Instead of 好烫, so hot, when you add 不, it becomes 不烫, which means not hot. Instead of 好冷, so cold, when you add 不, it becomes 不冷, which means not cold. Instead of 好热, so hot, when you add 不, it becomes 不热, which means not hot. Instead of 好暖, so warm, when you add 不, it becomes 不暖, which means not warm. Instead of 好晒, so hot, when you add 不, it becomes 不晒, which means not hot. Instead of 好痛, so painful, when you add 不, it becomes 不痛, which means not painful. Instead of 好饿, so hungry, when you add 不, it becomes 不饿, which means not hungry. Instead of 好饱, so full, when you add 不, it becomes 不饱, which means not full. Instead of 好累, so tired, when you add 不, it becomes 不累, which means not tired. Now is quiz time. For the first question, when you want to tell someone that it is not a good book, what can you say? You can say 不好看. When somebody asks you whether the food is spicy or not, 辣不辣? What can you say? You can say 辣, which means spicy, 好辣, which means so spicy, or 不辣, which means not spicy. For the third question, what can you say when you are not tired? You can say 不累. For the fourth question, what can you say when you are not hungry? You can say 不饿. For the last question, what can you say if something is not smelly? You can say 不臭. Click on the videos above to learn more Chinese with Teacher Mint. If you have not seen the previous video on the 22 word phrases to express your thoughts and feelings with the word 好 as the starting word, you can click on the video in the middle.